Metro Plaza de España of Line 3 and Line 10 as well as Ventura Rodriguez of Line 3 are the nearby metro station and this amazing temple of Debod. Or you can also take public buses and public bicycle. The opening hours of the temple chamber is from Tuesday to Sunday and public holidays from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Closed on the following days, Mondays 1 and 6 of January, 1 of May, 24, 25, and 31 of December. One of Madrid's most treasured monuments, the Egyptian Temple of Debod, wasn't always there. How did an Egyptian temple end up sitting in a park in a European capital city anyway? This is how the story goes. One of the main attractions in Parque del Oeste in the city of Madrid is an ancient Egyptian temple. Built in the 2nd century before Christ, the temple was given to Spain in 1968 by Egyptian government for Spain's help in relocating the Abu Simbel temple before the construction of the Aswan Dam. The Temple of Debod is one of the few substantial examples of ancient Egyptian architectures rebuilt outside of Egypt, and the only one in Spain. As Thomas shows, not only in this an interesting object with a fascinating history, the current setting offers great opportunities for photographers in Madrid and YouTubers as well. A city center park in the Spanish capital might seem an unlikely location for an ancient Egyptian temple. But there it is, the Temple of Debod from the Lower Nubia, in an evocative setting in Madrid's Parque del Oeste. The park itself has a lot of history, as it witnessed some of the opening battles of the Civil War as Republicans and rebels fought over Madrid. The Temple of Debod was originally in an area that witnessed civil rebellions. The Koshite king of Meroe, Adek-Halamani, took advantage of uprisings in southern Egypt against Ptolemy IV and extended his control from the Lower Nubia northwards into the present-day Aswan area. Here he either modified existing temples, example in the island of Velai. In order the construction of a new chapels and temples, the first structures of Debod, essentially a chapel, were built by Adek-Halamani. Over the centuries that followed, the temple was expanded and modified by several Ptolemaic rulers, and again by Roman emperors during the period of Rome's annexations of Egypt. Now, the temple stands as a gesture of appreciation to the Spanish people for the assistance they provided in saving ancient structures from flooding from the construction of the Aswan Dam. About 22 structures, including the temples of Abu Simbel and Philae, were relocated to the shores of the dam, or the gardens of the Sudan National Museum of Khartoum, while others were given to nations who helped in this operation. So just as Spain has a Temple of Debod, so the Metropolitan Museum of Art of New York has a Temple of Dendur. The Rijksmuseum van Oordeeningen of Leiden has a Temple of Tafe, and the Museum Egezio of Turin has a Temple of Elysea. Let's go back to the brief history of the Temple of Debod. In 2nd century before Christ, Adek-Halami or Trabico, the Koshite king of Meroe, started construction of what would become the Temple of Debod, with a small single-room chapel that was dedicated to god Ammon. Ptolemaic dynasty during the reigns of Ptolemy IV, Ptolemy VIII, and Ptolemy XII, the temple was extended in all directions to create a simple temple. During the Roman period, the reign of Emperor Augustus' further expansion of the architecture including two pylons and a processional way from the riverside quay. Also scenic depicting the emperor were added to the main facade. In 635 AD, the temple of Philae was closed to pagan worship, and other small temples in Lower Nubia, including Temple of Debod, were abandoned. On December 27, 1737, Frederick Norden, a Danish captain, was sent to explore the Nile for the Danish navy. His ship passed in front of Temple of Debod, from which he took notes, thought to be the first written account of the temple by a Western explorer. In February 1829, Gianfranco Champollion and Ippolito Rosellini, on an expedition sponsored by France and Grand Duchy of Tuscany, visit the temple. On 1850 and 1875, throughout the 18th and 19th century, there were many visits to Nubia and the temple. During this, many notes and drawing made, and this we see the deterioration the temple suffered. During the third quarter of the 19th century, the temple suffered the most dramatic deterioration. Some of the facades collapsed, and the pylon closet to the temple falls. In 1968, the Egyptian government gives the temple to Spain for their support in saving the Abu Simbel temple from the rising water of the Aswan Dam. In 1970, the created remains of temple arrive in Madrid and reconstruction begins. In 1972, the reconstruction complete. The Temple of Debod in Madrid's Parque del Oeste is open to the public. Let's look around and see what's the mystery inside this fascinating and very interesting temple.
Las estatuas de los dioses eran conducidas a la terraza del templo para recibir los rayos del sol. En otras ocasiones se celebraban en el Magnici los ritos del nacimiento del dios niño. En Debod, Philae y otros santuarios nubios dedicados a la diosa Isis, estos antiguos cultos pervivieron hasta que, en el siglo VI, la religión cristiana los desplazó definitivamente. Los dioses abandonaron sus templos y los signos e imágenes esculpidas, olvidado su sentido, quedaron como únicos testimonios de una religión milenaria.
Queridos Manu, llegamos al templo de Debod a las 2 de la tarde. Pasamos bajo los 3 pilones esculpidos y descubrí que había sido construido en gran parte por un roi etiopía llamado Atarnon, que debió ser el sucesor de Amenhotep. El templo está dedicado a Amon-Ra, señor de Debod, y a Hathor y subsidiariamente a Isis y Osiris, y fue continuado, aunque no acabado, por los emperadores Augusto y Tiberio. En el santuario, sin decoración, quedan los restos de una naos de granito del tiempo de los Ptolomeos.
On voit très bien les reliefs de ces cartouches avec ces lumières-là. Oh. Mais qu'est-ce qu'il y a là? Amène-moi la lumière, que je puisse voir plus clairement. C'est marqué là. Oh, mais c'est magnifique. Mais qu'est-ce qu'il y a là? Aterramon, le roi éthiopien, c'est clair.
Seis años después de descifrar la antigua escritura egipcia, Jean-François Champollion hizo realidad el sueño de su vida: viajar al país de los faraones y comprobar allí el éxito de sus teorías. Entre otros lugares, visitó el templo de Debod. Después de siglos de silencio, los nombres de los dioses y reyes antiguos volvían a pronunciarse en su templo. Mandó construir una capilla dedicada a Amón, dios principal de los panteones egipcio y meroíta, y a Isis, diosa de la magia, esposa y hermana de Osiris, cuyo santuario principal estaba en la isla de Filé, a pocos kilómetros al norte de Debod. Los posteriores monarcas egipcios de la dinastía tolemaica y los emperadores romanos Augusto y Tiberio construyeron nuevas estancias alrededor de la pequeña capilla original, añadiendo pilonos, patios, una vía procesional y un embarcadero junto al Nilo.